And joining us right now on the line, one of our favorite congressmen, still in Congress, of course, Representative Steve King from Iowa. Congressman King, you have a big immigration press conference at the Capitol today from 9 a.m. till noon. Is that right? Where can people go to see this press conference?
They can come right to the United States Capitol, and on the House side of the Capitol, the big steps that go up into the chamber. If you look from there directly to the Library of Congress, it's only about 150 feet away from the steps of the Capitol, but in that direction, it's called On the Egg. It's the lawn there, just above that little plaza.
On the House Egg, and then at 2 to 5, there's more activity going on. Tell us about this. They're saying it's going to be basically one of the biggest Tea Party presences in the Washington since Obamacare.
Well, I think it's going to be that. There are two events going on that day, and they're really separate from each other. The Tea Party is going to be on the west side of the Capitol, and their schedule says, as I read it, from noon till 2 o'clock. They're going to talk about IRS abuse, and they're certainly the target of it. And I had been looking at doing a whole day event, hopefully Lincoln Douglas style debate on immigration. It has to be in the form of a press conference, so we'll take questions from the press. And so in any case, we decided that we weren't going to try to compete with that over noon. So we're going to run from 9 till 12 and then 2 till 5. And we've got a whole series of members of Congress that are coming in to speak. We've got 5 or 6 senators that are going to try to get there, but they're in the middle of the immigration markup themselves on the floor, and they'll be pinned down. A number of them have called me and expressed their interest, and they're going to try to get there. And then we have some luminaries along the way, and I'm waiting for them to send me the final line-by-line list of that. But it's going to be people who are experts on the subject, and I just came to the conclusion that the rhythm of what's going on in Congress, the fast track as I see it, on the immigration amnesty bill in the Senate, the Gang of Eights agenda, is pushing so fast, and the American people have so many things to pay attention to that they just aren't caught up with what is coming at them on immigration. And the House side, essentially the green flag was dropped to start moving immigration legislation there. So we need to bring the focus of the American people to this so that they can talk to their members of Congress and put this Congress on the right track before we do something that's irrevocable, irreversible, and irreparable, and that would be, in my opinion, amnesty.
You know, Representative King, this is Alan West. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Alan. I'm doing fine. I think we're going to get to see you, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to get there this afternoon. One of the questions I had, Raul Labrador has dropped off of the House side of now that Gang of Eight is now Gang of Seven. What are the big concerns on the House side, and what are we doing to, maybe put something out there that's counter that says what we are for, not so much what we're against? Because, you keep seeing these commercial advertisements that this is a conservative solution that is out there. They pretty much so co-opted the quote-unquote conservative brand. So how do we retain that and get it back?
Well, I'd say first that if that's Zuckerberg's money, he supported Obama last time. So it's not very conservative to spend millions of dollars to undermine the rule of law, but they have put the label on themselves. And from what I see, and one of them is Robert Rector's study of the Heritage Foundation, you really can't be a conservative and support what I see coming out of there. So we are going to have Robert Rector on the stage twice today, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. We're going to ask him to deliver his report, which is a 102-page report with all kinds of supporting documents behind that. And we've got to talk about the fiscal cost and what happens to the shape of America if this goes forward and how we preserve the rule of law. And so that's what this is about, is to, I'll say, refocus America's attention on this issue if this pushes through the House and the Senate. And also we have a lot of members that have never been through a debate on immigration, Alan. Over the last 2.5 years, Congress essentially turned over half. So that's what I'm concerned about. Let's get everybody up to speed. We've got some good people. They just need to make sure that they've got good information before they make a decision that they can't back up on.
Representative Steve King from Iowa is our guest right now, and we're talking about today's big press conference out there in front of the Capitol Hill on the Egg. This is going to be from 9 till noon, and then from 2 till 5, and this is all about this immigration reform bill coming through the Senate. Talk to me about the mood in the House. We saw a lot of noise yesterday about the Hastert rule. Do you have faith in Speaker Boehner in his assertion that he would not bring this to the floor for a vote unless he had a majority of Republicans backing it?
Well, I listened to him make that statement 3 times in conference yesterday, and then he had a press conference afterwards. I think he made it pretty clear that he's not going to bring a broad immigration bill to the floor without the support of a majority of the conference. It's reported in the press. He said it needs a majority of both sides, the House, Democrats and Republicans in the House. That makes it harder. In fact, a lot harder. It makes it less likely that we'll get anything that is going to be very good for us.
Congressman King, I get the sense from our listeners when we talk about this is if there was a magic wand, if you could guarantee to the American people that this is it, this is the end, just like they said in 1986, if the border would be secured and anyone who overstays their visas, they would be dealt with and they would be deported and they would have to face penalties, then they would be more inclined to move toward legalization or amnesty or whatever to deal with the people who are here. But is there any guarantee? Is there any way to really combat this going forward?
I guarantee you they're not going to enforce the law going forward. And
that's the guarantee.
I challenged them on it as recently as last night, and I said, what you're pushing for here is the always is, always was, and always will be perpetual and retroactive amnesty bill. And, they don't dispute that. So what we have, and there's specifically to your question, in the Senate bill, it says if you've gotten here to the United States before or as of 12/31/2011, then you can be legalized unless you committed a felony or 3 mysterious misdemeanors. So essentially, anybody that got in before that date, but there is no prospect, and they have no will to send somebody home who came here after that date, or they'd be doing it now to demonstrate good faith. They are not. They don't contemplate that at all. They contemplate perpetual open borders, except for those people that could, they want to have a little border security, a little posture. Anybody could get past the Border Patrol, but forever be able to stay in America unless they ran afoul of the law in a serious way like a felony. That's a breathtaking, broad future amnesty promise, too. I think the American people would be outraged if they understood that. I don't know that they know that yet.
Well, this is Alan West again, Representative King. And, yesterday, Carrie Dan of NBC News, she reported on the CBO who put out, the number that said that the immigration bill would decrease the deficit by $197 billion over the next 10 years. I think a lot of people don't understand that the CBO does this static assessment and not a dynamic assessment. When you look out beyond those 10 years, what really will happen to our deficit when you start looking at the effects on a lot of our, mandatory spending programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security?
Well, I looked at that report, I'll say the summary of that report late last night, and my reflection on it would be it has to contemplate that the bulk of the people that they're calculating would be young people who wouldn't be very expensive on the Medicare or the Medicaid side of this or the Social Security side. And in fact, they may be net contributors to Social Security. So once you go past that 10-year window and you start getting into the health problems that start to show up when you get past 40 and into 50 and on into however long you live, that's a lot bigger number. Plus, the calculation that they have, I don't believe covers all the social welfare that's out there and the burden of this. That's what Robert Rector does so well. And I've poked down through his 102-page report, and if I find a hole in it, it's because he didn't include the cost of law enforcement and the cost of crime. That certainly is part of this as well.
All right, Representative Steve King from Iowa, we're going to have to leave it at that. The Gadsden flags will be out in force today on the Hill. The press conference, again, is from 9 till noon and then from 2 till 5 on immigration, Lincoln-Douglas-style debate. Can't wait to see it. We are going to try to be out there. Thanks, Representative King.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Colonel and Larry.
You got it. Thank you so much.